Welcome to Calcasieu Parish Public Library's The Tales of Cooking Show.
Welcome to the Tales of Cooking Show. Howdy folks, I'm Janet, and this is Holly and Pat. We're here from the Calcasieu Parish Public Library. In this episode, we're going to be sharing tasty and easy recipes from this cookbook, A Taste of Cowboy, Ranch Recipes and Tales from the Trail cookbook. This cookbook follows our summer theme, Tales and Tales, as it has a variety of tales from a Chuck Wagon cook.
A Chuck Wagon cook is someone who cooks for the folks who are out herding cattle all day. These folks come in with a powerful hunger, and the Chuck Wagon cook has to have a hearty meal that is fairly easy to make, as he doesn't have a fancy kitchen to cook in. So, these recipes will fill you up without making you stay in the kitchen all day.
Author Kent Rollins says that cowboy cooking is made with ingredients you already have on hand. You won't need to saddle up and ride to the store to pick out some foreign food.
Mexican Tortilla Lasagna.
Today we're going to be making Mexican tortilla lasagna. Doesn't that sound delicious?
That sounds very yummy.
I'm going to start off by browning 2 pounds of ground chuck. Miss Janet, if you can start our oven to 350 degrees and butter the casserole dish.
I can do that.
All right, we're going to get our meat to cooking. Do you like making casseroles, Miss Janet?
I do, and I bet out on the trail, I'm sure that's probably a pretty easy dish to make.
Yeah, I would think so. If it's in his cookbook, he must make it quite often.
Must.
I'm going to be browning my meat, and then after my meat is brown, I'm going to add a whole onion and also a jalapeno, and then I'm going to stir that in and cook that till it's limp.
Well, Miss Holly, did you know that Chuck Wagons and Chuck Wagon cooks still exist today?
Do they?
They do. This Arthur is one that goes out and goes on the trail and cooks for all the cowboys. A lot of the cowboys in Texas and other states move their cattle from one grazing area to another because cattle needs a lot of land to graze on.
All right, my meat's looking really nice and brown. I'm going to go ahead and add my onion to the meat. This is 1 onion. And then I'm going to add 1 jalapeno.
That's going to make it nice and spicy.
Yes, and I might have added an extra jalapeno just for a little kick. We're from Louisiana. We like it spicy.
That's right. Well, you know, on Chuck Wagons, they don't get a lot of meat out there.
You know?
No, there's no way to store the meat, so they can't bring a lot with them. They might have started out on their first run with this casserole because it's got meat in it. But after that, they probably use a lot of beans.
Well, those cowboys like their beans.
Well, those poor Chuck Wagon folks, I know they have to use a lot of creative ideas to keep those meals interesting, don't you think?
I think so, and they work hard, so they need full bellies.
That's right.
Now that my meat is getting brown and my veggies are starting to cook, I'm going to add some water. How much water do we need?
3/4 cup of water.
3/4 cup. I had it measured already. And then we have 1 pack of taco seasoning.
That ought to make it good and spicy.
Nice and flavorful. And then we're going to let this simmer for about 5 minutes. And then while this is simmering, I'm gonna walk over the microwave. I emptied 1 can of refried beans into a bowl, and I'm gonna heat that up about 1 minute, and then I'm gonna bring it back over here so we can add it to our casserole. So while this is doing its thing, I'm gonna set this for 1 minute.
Well, did you know, on top of being a cook, those poor Chuck Wagon cooks had to be a doctor. Somebody got hurt, they got to mend them up. They had to be a dentist, a counselor.
Dentist?
Yeah, that doesn't sound
A
right.
counselor?
And a mechanic.
Oh, that's a lot.
They even had to cook in bad conditions, really harsh conditions. Heat waves, hailstorms, dust storms, blizzards, all while keeping the coffee nice and hot and ready.
Oh, I love me some coffee.
We'll be talking more about coffee later.
I can't wait. All right, my meat is cooked. It's looking nice and delicious. I think we're ready to start building our casserole.
Sounds great.
Yes, it does sound tasty. So, I'm gonna start. Thanks for buttering the bottom of the casserole.
You're welcome.
I'm gonna start by putting some tortillas down in the bottom. You can cut them if you want them to fit perfectly, but I just overlap mine. And then after you add your 2 flour tortillas, you're gonna add some beans, the ones you warmed in the oven.
That's about a can of beans.
Yes, ma'am, but we're gonna half this because we're gonna do 2 layers.
All right.
And then I'm just gonna spread it around.
After you add your beans, you're going to add some sour cream. You have about 1½ cups of sour cream.
Mm-hmm.
Half of that too.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And we're gonna spread that.
Looking good.
It does look good. You like sour cream?
I love sour cream.
Me too. Try to get this off the spatula.
Kind of looks like that 7-layer dip.
It does look like a 7-layer dip. You're right.
Now we'll put your ground meat in there.
Time to add my ground meat. Okay, this is a little hot, so I'm going to use a mitt. And I'm going to pour about half of that in there. And I'm going to spread it around.
Woo-wee! Looking good.
Looking good. Makes you kind of want to go yee-haw.
Yeehaw.
All right, I'm going to add a little bit more. What comes after the meat mixture?
We have some cheese. About
Some
a cup of cheese.
About a cup of cheese.
You got 3 cups of
Yeah, I
cheese
got quite
there,
a bit,
huh?
so I'm gonna. I love cheese though. All right, I got my cheese.
Now you're going to put some Rotel,
Mhm.
tomatoes, and enchilada sauce that you mixed together, right?
Yes, ma'am. I mixed the enchilada sauce and the can of Rotel together, and I'm just gonna pour it over the casserole, half of it, and then I'm gonna spread that around. And it's gonna look something like this. I think it looks good. What do we gotta do now?
Have to layer it again.
Again, all right. I'm gonna
Really
take another
tasty.
tortilla. All right, now that the lasagna is assembled, my oven's been preheated for 350 degrees. I'm gonna stick it in the oven for 30 minutes. All right, my casserole has been baking for 30 minutes and I think it's ready. I'm gonna take it out of the oven and we're gonna cut it. There we go.
Blueberry Almond Butter Bars.
That lasagna was pretty good.
It was very tasty.
All right, next we're gonna be making blueberry almond butter bars. We're gonna start out with 21 ounces of blueberry pie filling and half a teaspoon of almond extract. Gonna just pop it right in, set that aside, and mix it up well. That's mixed up, so we're gonna set this aside and we're gonna start on our main batter.
Ooh, that almond smells good in that mix.
Ooh, it does. I'm going to grab 2 sticks of butter, softened. And then 1 3/4 cups sugar. Take a hand mixer. We're going to cream this together for about 1 to 2 minutes until nice and fluffy. Now that it's nice and fluffy, we're going to add slowly 3 large eggs. There's 1, and we're going to continue beating. And now for the next egg. And now the final egg. And after we finish incorporating this egg, we will then beat in our flour and vanilla extract. Now we're gonna add the remaining of our almond extract, which should be 1 teaspoon. 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. And we're going to slowly incorporate our all-purpose flour, which should measure out to 2½ cups.
It's looking yummy.
It smells divine. Alrighty, now that our batter is all incorporated, we have a pre-greased pan that we're gonna put about half of our mixture in at the base. Miss Janet, if you'd like to preheat the oven to 350 for us, that would be fantastic.
I'll do that.
So I'm just gonna put about half of the batter in the bottom of the pan. And we're gonna spread it around.
Boy, you know what would be so good with those almond bars?
What?
A nice cup of hot coffee.
Ooh, I could use a cup of coffee.
Well, you know, the author, Kent Rollins, makes a nice old black magic is what he calls it, coffee. And he says folks love his coffee because it's so smooth. You know what the secret is to making it smooth?
A good coffee maker.
Oh no, they don't have coffee makers out there. No electricity. He says you boil the coffee.
Boil it.
Yeah. When you boil the beans, it takes the acid out of them. So it makes it nice and smooth.
That sounds like some kind of science experiment.
Probably could be. Now the trick to getting the grounds to settle, because when you're boiling them, all the grounds get crazy.
Of course.
You have to put a little bit of water, cold water, down the spout of the coffee pot. And it settles the grounds.
Boy, I bet that would go great with this.
I'm sure it will.
Now that I've spread out the batter, I'm gonna add a little bit of our blueberry mixture. Or actually, we're gonna add all of it.
Mm-hmm.
I love me some blueberries.
Yummy. Well, Kent was at a festival one day, and he said a fella came up to his booth and got him some coffee, and then he came back and got refills, and he got another refill, and he kept looking at the coffee, and looking at Kent, trying to figure out what made his coffee so good. Well, Kent had to go over. He said, "Is there anything wrong?" And the man says, "No, I just want to know where you get your coffee because I'm a coffee snob and I only drink imported coffee." Well, Kent said, "Well, I get mine from the local grocery store." And he says, "I don't drink local coffee." Well, Kent says, "You just drink 6 cups of it."
I bet he felt like a fool.
Uh-huh. And he said, "There's nothing, you don't need a whole lot of fancy things to make a good old cup of coffee."
I love me a cup of coffee, and that's gonna go great with this. We're gonna
Might have to make some.
Oh, I think we will. We're gonna add the last bit of our batter, and that oven should be nice and hot by now. We're gonna pop it in for about 50 to 60 minutes until everything is nice and brown. While our blueberry almond butter bars are in the oven, I'm gonna make a simple glaze. We're going to take 2 tablespoons of heavy cream, a teaspoon of almond extract, and 1 1/4 cup powdered sugar. Gonna add the extract to our heavy cream. Give that a good stir. And then we're going to slowly incorporate the powdered sugar. So we don't just dump it in there. Alrighty, we've pulled our blueberry almond butter bars out of the oven and we've fixed up our glaze. This is cooled for about 20 to 30 minutes and we're gonna add our glaze to make it even more delicious than it smells. Oh my Lanta, does this smell heavenly? You're just gonna plop it on there and spread it around. Or if you're fancy, you can drizzle it. I'm not that fancy. Alrighty, now that that's done, we're gonna cut and plate it.
That looks fantastic.
Oh, yummy goodness.
There you are. Blueberry almond butter bar.
That sounds wonderful. Well, this was fantastic. We're going to get us some coffee and have us some delicious dessert. Visit our website at www.calcasieulibrary.org for more recipes and cookbooks like these. Thank you for joining us. Check out our website and our Facebook page for more events coming up. Have a great summer.